Kabir lived every day within the narrow margins of absolute scarcity. His pockets were empty, his school bag was held together by threads, and his shoes were failing him on the dry, cracked paths of his village. Most nights, his only constant was hunger. This wasn't just his struggle, it was his family's weight. His mother's health declined without the medicine they couldn't afford, while his father spent every ounce of his strength in the fields, only to return with nothing to show for it. When Kabir spoke of changing this, the response from his neighbors was immediate mockery. They didn't see a future for him. They only saw a boy who needed to stop dreaming and start finding a way to pay for tomorrow's bread. This is the gravity of the survival mindset. When your immediate physical needs are screaming for attention, and your community reinforces your limitations, it becomes nearly impossible to even imagine a life outside of the struggle.
Sitting by the river one evening, Kabir met an teacher named Guruji. Seeing the exhaustion in the boy, the teacher handed him a mirror and asked him to look past the fatigue and the pain. Guruji described a choice. On one side, the constant noise of external reality, the doubt and lack. On the other, a small, protected core of belief. The challenge was to keep that internal core from being extinguished by the friction outside. The lesson was practical. The world would continue to throw dust on his mirror to hide his potential. Kabir's job was to clean it every single day through his actions, deliberately looking past the immediate evidence of his poverty. This mental defense was his first real construction project. Before he could change the physical world around him, he had to build a version of himself that could withstand the weight of his own circumstances. Kabir stopped arguing with the villagers and started working. He treated his time like a limited resource, building a schedule that left no room for passive hope. His evenings were spent at a local tea shop, washing glasses and serving customers. This wasn't a career, but a necessary engine to generate the baseline capital he needed to move. On weekends, he apprenticed with a mechanic. He traded his rest for technical skills, learning the internal workings of the machines that the village relied on. Then, late into the night, he studied by the light of a dim bulb. While the rest of the village slept, he was building an intellectual foundation, reading every book he could get his hands on. To keep this pace, he gave up almost everything: sleep, comfort, and often the little food he had. It was a brutal, calculated trade-off. By dividing his energy into these three reservoirs, cash, skills, and knowledge, Kabir was no longer just a poor boy with a dream. He was building a machine designed to pull him out of the vacuum of his environment. After years of preparation, Kabir finally deployed his resources. He opened a tiny mobile repair shop in a corner of the village, turning his technical training into a business. He didn't just fix phones, he built trust. By treating every customer with a level of respect they weren't used to, he ensured that his small cash flow was consistent and growing. This was a test of his larger vision on the smallest possible scale. By succeeding here, in a single room, he proved that his strategy worked before he tried to apply it to the world. Success at this level provided something more valuable than money. It gave him a structural foundation. He had moved from dreaming about change to physically managing it. The shop wasn't the end of the journey, it was the seed. Kabir began to look beyond his immediate surroundings toward the wider economy. He fed every rupee of profit back into the business. One shop became three. By refusing personal comfort, he allowed his assets to grow rapidly. This cycle broke the local ceiling. Kabir launched his proprietary brand, moving from service provider to market leader. The social landscape of the village shifted. The same people who once told him to stop dreaming now stood outside his office, hoping for a position in the company he had built. But the most important reversal happened at home. His mother finally had the medical care she needed, and his father was able to walk away from the fields for good. And this is the power of reinvestment.
It's the process that eventually turns the small, disciplined actions of a single person into a force capable of rewriting a family's entire history. Guruji returned to see what Kabir had created. He saw a man who had successfully translated an internal belief into a physical empire. Kabir's story suggests that the scale of a person's life isn't dictated by the money in their pocket at the start. It is defined by the resilience of the vision they are willing to protect. If you are waiting for the perfect conditions to begin, you are letting the dust settle on your own potential. Reject the limits others place on you and start building your own architecture. Your next chapter doesn't start when the path is clear. It starts the moment you dare to think big and take that first difficult step.